apply. And all of the engagements of the day will be guided by this. So you are all welcome. We are looking forward in receiving the statistics. And just to deal with the formalities of the meeting, we have received apologies, which Ntabiseng Mufokeng will read to the meeting, and then members will have to move to accept the apologies. And thereafter, we will confirm the agenda, and then the adoption of minutes and other things, we'll do them at a later stage after we've received when we have excused you and it's only the committee that is left. Ntabiseng, any apologies?
Good morning, Chairperson and the members of the committee. Good morning, MEC, the Provincial Commissioner and all the officials present. I've got two apologies. One is from Member Ruhan Robinson, who's driving from the Eastern Cape to attend the National Gambling Conference for the CSSL committee. And the second one is from Member Christine Bosch, who is currently in the meeting but requests to leave the meeting by 12:30 as she will be attending the by-elections. Thank you.
Seconder?
I will second, Chair.
Thank you. After we've done that, we then gladly welcome the PC to the podium to speak to us and present the statistics as it has been stated of Q3 of this financial year 2022-2023. PC, you are welcome. You look a bit tired. Seemingly the trip to Lesotho has taken its toll. Thank you.
Portfolio Committee, our MEC for Community Safety, Mama Zibuko, and all the MMCs present, management of the South African Police Service in Gauteng, the CPF Board Chairperson, Tatema Silela, all stakeholders present today, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. This morning I'll be giving the synopsis of the crime picture for the period 1st October until the 31st of December 2022. This was the busiest time in the year as everyone was in the festivity mood. Let us also remember that this was the first festive season in 2 years where the country was no longer operating under the state of disaster. Honorable members, in Gauteng during the festive season period, we always anticipate an increase in crime based on previous experiences. Our safer festive season operational plan was implemented from the 15th of October 2022, and it has ended on the 31st of January 2023. These operations and other crime prevention initiatives were intensified during the quarter under review to match the expected escalation of crime. This was done under the theme, more boots on the ground towards enhanced police visibility. It is disheartening that even with all our efforts, the statistics will show that we did not do well as we have lost our overall crime category for the quarter under review. Difficult as it was, our presence on the ground helped us to prevent crime before it could be committed in some instances and disrupt many planned and opportunistic criminal actions. What we encountered through our operations, especially night operations, it should suffice to say that had we not been on the ground, the crime situation would have been worse than what it is right now. Coming to the overall crime, the 17 community reported serious crimes. Honorable members, Honorable Chairperson, Gauteng Police recorded the crime statistics for the crime for the third quarter of the 2022-2023 financial year as reflected under the 17 community reported serious crimes category, of which it increased by 7.1%. The province contributed 27.1% of the overall crime in the country for the quarter. We have two major contributors to our 17 community reported serious crimes, of which in total is 115,458. That will be the category of contact crime, which constitute 50,039, as well as other serious crime, which constitute 33,088. We have been appealing to the community, to the public, to find the ways other than the violence to resolve the conflict. We have previously highlighted that assault GPH and assault common are main contributors to our overall figure of contact crimes. The people of Gauteng, they still continue to beat each other up. For the period under review, these two crimes alone contributed 50%, as they have recorded 25,642 counts out of the 50,039 total counts in the contact crime category. Assault GPH has increased by 4.5%, 487 counts more, and common assault has increased by 9.4%, of which is 1,238 counts more. This is a serious concern for us, Honorable Chairperson and members. If you can remove the assaults from the overall picture of Gauteng, the contact crime alone, you'll see that we don't have a problem. We do have a problem of crime, but it will be reasonable as compared to what we are having right now. And this assault GPH are not only causing the problem, increasing our crime stats, it also creates an overload to the detectives, because the detectives, they are carrying more cases of assault common, assault GPH. When you look at our courts, they are also clocked, overloaded with those kind of cases. And this is something which is avoidable if we work together as a society, we work together to find a better way to deal with our conflict. Surely we'll be able to reduce this crime. Crime reported under the category of aggravated robberies are prevalent in the province. As we all know that Gauteng is the most affected province in terms of the robbery aggravating. But this category includes what we call the trio crimes. And the trio crimes are the carjackings, robberies at residential, and also non-residential premises. Mostly we call it the business robberies. We were able to reduce this crime category with 0.1%. This was due to the reduction of carjacking by 6.8%, which translates to 192 counts less than the same period in 2021-2022. Honorable Chairperson and honorable members, we know that carjacking, it has been a problem for us in Gauteng. Thanks to the support we have received from the provincial government, the BMWs we have received, deployed in freeways and so forth. Now there is value for money because of we have now managed to reduce the carjacking in Gauteng, something which have never happened for the longest time. The category of other serious crimes, which includes the shoplifting and commercial crime, has recorded 33,088 counts overall, with the category of all theft not mentioned elsewhere contributing 19,512 counts. It is for this reason that theft general is the single largest contributing crime category to our 17 community reported crimes. Again, these are the kind of crimes that are challenging to prevent. Another second biggest headache we are having here, people, they like taking things which does not belong to them. Theft, it's a problem. If you can go through the categories, you look, theft elsewhere, theft general elsewhere, you'll see that the number is the highest. So it clearly tells that people, they enjoy taking other people's properties. And it is also avoidable if all we can work together, start to respect other people's properties. On the other hand, Honorable Chairperson and honorable members, shoplifting, for instance, the police have a limited role to play in combating the shoplifting, as they become part of the process only when the case docket is open after a perpetrator is apprehended by the private security of the retail business. At the end of the day, these crimes of assaults and theft contribute 45,154, are contributing negatively to our crime scoreboard, and we have to find the ways to can prevent them. Honorable members of the Portfolio Committee, our presence and visibility has ensured that we increase our trajectory when it comes to our day-to-day policing efforts, as reflected under the category of crimes depending on police for detection. We have achieved an increase of 11.8%, which translates to 1,688 more counts as compared to the 2021-2022 period. The total number of counts for the period under review is 15,988. This is the category whereby we want to increase because it reflects the result which we have achieved through our action as police members. Illegal possession of firearms and ammunition, we have managed to increase it to 1,048. And as we all know, honorable members and chairperson, that proliferation of firearms in this province, it's a problem for all of us. Hence we see gang violence, hence we see the robbery aggravating and so forth. But we are glad to report to say that at least we have done very well in terms of recovering more firearms during the period under review. The drug-related crimes also, we have increased it to 9,269, of which we also know that the drugs proliferation in our province is a problem. Hence we see even this gang theft war, it is all about the drugs, fighting for the business and so forth. And we also see how our young children are being affected by the drugs. In that regard, we have done extremely well. And also our DPCI, they've done very well in terms of dealing with the bigger laboratories, whereby they close these laboratories, the drug labs. Sexual offenses detected as a result of police action also increased with 521. And only driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs decreased by 80 counts as compared with 2021-2022. Okai Mulao operation continued to impact positively to the number of people arrested. During phase 1 of Okai Mulao operation, detectives, they conduct suspect tracing operation. For the period under review, they've managed to arrest 11,017 suspects. And we know that in Gauteng, most of these suspects are the repeat offenders. If we can repeat the repeat offenders from the streets of Gauteng, surely in the long run we'll be able to reduce the levels of crime here. But the detectives, they've done very well under the leadership of Major General Kumalo. The vehicles and technological assistance through the deployment of the drones, together with the boost of manpower through the deployment of the newly appointed constables from the National Project 10,000, ensure the augmentation of our footprint on the ground. Support personnel waived their vacation leave to capacitate the province to have more boots on the ground. Overtime money was also made available to supplement the workforce. We appreciate the support that we have received from the provincial government through the Office of the MEC for Community Safety, Mefit Mazibuko, and the Office of the Premier of Gauteng, Mr. Panyasa Lesufi. The presence and the visibility of law enforcement agencies on the ground has made a significant difference in the deterrence of crime. We appreciate our private and social partners for their unwavering commitment to prevent and fight crime in Gauteng. I have to thank the Business Against Crime South Africa through the Eyes and Ears, the E2 project, as well as the formalized community-based structures community-based structures through the community police forums and community in blue, gender-based violence brigades, the youth desk, amongst the others. Their contributions to crime prevention cannot be underestimated. Ladies and gentlemen, a festive season with no restriction also meant that we had to police a lot of events that had been categorized as a low and medium risk. For the quarter under review, we had 2,675 low risk and 172 medium risk events that we had to police. Obviously, we all know that for the past 2 years, artists were struggling, there was no events, they could not do their gigs because of the restriction. But this time around, it was open, they were given the opportunity to can make money and so forth. So all those kind of events, we are obligated in terms of the SASRIA Act that we need to police those events. It makes our presence on the ground very thin. But we have soldiered on, we have allowed these things to can continue and work with the organizers. And again, it also gives us a plus point in that if people have gathered in a specific area where it is controlled, security put around the event, it is better than to have people all over the street uncontrolled, and that's where we have a lot of problems. But beside the above mentioned events, we also obligated to police the protest. Between October and December 2022, we had 403 peaceful protests and 97 unrest. The unrest is the ones whereby it tend to be a little bit violent. All of these incidents that needed to be attended to resulted in the diversion of core business as resources were spread to meet our constitutional mandate. In conclusion, Honorable Chairperson and members, crime remains a societal problem which requires the whole of government and society approach and for intervention, as we have already alluded. The unfavorable environmental design, high unemployment rate, load shedding, and other social economic factors remain the root causes of crime. You have already alluded, Chairperson, to that. The solution to all these challenges which we are seated with is the full implementation of the integrated crime and violence prevention strategy. Honorable members, with that, allow me to ask Brigadier Mpho Chakalade to come and give the comprehensive crime picture for the third quarter of the 2022-2023 financial year. Thank you. Brigadier.
Thank you, PC. And you can come through, Brigadier. We'll emphasize the important points that the PC have raised, as it relates, so we need to just be mindful of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Let me acknowledge the presence of other honorable members. Our MEC, Mayor Faith Mazibuko, the MMCs that are present, the chairperson of the Gauteng CPF board, PC and management of the SAPC, members of the media, colleagues and other stakeholders, good morning. Honorable Chair, this morning I will be giving a crime overview of Gauteng province. I have to indicate that about 3 or 4 weeks ago, the crime statistic for Q3 covering October until December, it was released by the Minister of Police. Hence, for now, I will be zooming into Gauteng province to depict how the province have performed in that regard. What I'm going to start with is what we call the crime scoreboard, crime overview, to give a picture of all categories of crime as indicated under the overall category of 17 community reported. Starting with our contact crime, which is covering 7 offenses there, as we can see. Unfortunately, with that regard, we didn't do well as a province for quarter under review, whereby we have lost the contact crime by an increase of 8.3%, 3,818 counts more were reported by the province. This was as a result of 7 offenses having an increase, which is murder. 1,721 people were murdered in Gauteng during period under review, which reflected an increase of 151 counts. In terms of our sexual offenses, we have also increased by 112 counts. Attempted murder, we recorded 1,625, reflecting an increase of 228. With regards to our assault GBH, assault with the intent to inflict grievous bodily harm, we also increased with this one 487 counts. Common assault went up as well by 1,238. As PC has indicated, this is our major headache in this category because remember with assault GBH, they may first start as assault GBH and later upgrade to murder. This is whereby maybe the injuries to the victim later cause the death to the victim themselves. So they first start as the assault GBH, later upgrade to that. And then as we know that during the discussion, you will see that most of our assault GBH are emanated from the social interactions. In terms of our common robbery, we also increased by 547. Robbery aggravating also went up by 1,555, 13,729 counts were recorded by the province. As I indicated, contact crime went up by 8.3. Still under contact crime, but zooming into our sexual offenses, breaking it down to epic offenses reported under the subcategory, which is rape, also increased by 115 counts. Attempted sexual offenses also went up by 19 counts. Looking at our robbery aggravated, also accounted for under contact crime. But starting with the 3 offenses there, which make up trio crime, which is carjacking, robberies at residential premises, as well as robberies at non-residential premises. Carjacking, fortunately, we, however, be able to reduce this particular offense by 192 counts. 2,632 counts were recorded. In relation to the robberies both at residential and non-residential, we have increased these two. At residential, we increased by 138, non-residential went up by 35. Due to the fact that we have reduced carjacking, which is one carrying more volume, our trio crime reduced by 5 counts, 0.1% reduction. Still under robbery aggravating, but covering the other offenses, which is the robberies of cash in transit, bank robbery, as well as truck carjacking. We had 27 incidents of CIT that were reported by the province, which reflected an increase of 5. Our truck carjacking also went up by 36. Moving over to our contact-related crime, the 2 offenses covered under the category have reduced, with arson reducing by 17, malicious damage to property, a reduction of 197. As a result, the category of contact-related reduced by 240. Now, when I move over to our property-related crime, which is the 3rd category of our 17 community, covering the 5 offenses there. First one being burglaries at non-residential premises. We have increased by 395 counts. Burglaries at residential premises went up by 234. In terms of our theft of motor vehicle, we have reduced by 5%. Theft out of motor vehicle, an increase of 449. Stock theft went up by 96 counts more. Other serious crime as a category increased by 10.4%, with 3 offenses under the category having an increase. The first one being all theft not mentioned were also known as a theft general, increased by 1,709 counts. Commercial crime also increased by 539, shoplifting 875 more counts. As a result, 17 community reported as a broader category increased by 7.1%. 7,643 counts more were reported by Gauteng during period under review. To conclude my presentation of the overview, this part of overview, there's a part of crime detected as a result of police action. As I indicated previously, ideally for this one, we'd prefer to have an increase as opposed to the first category of 17 community reported, whereby we want to see a reduction. Reason for increase this one, it determines the police being on the ground in terms of the arrest and making detections with regards to other crimes. So the first one, illegal possession of firearm and ammunition, we have increased by 116. This one determined that the police were indeed be able to get the illegal firearm in the hands of the wrong people, because most of the time, this illegal firearm are used during the commission of several crimes. Drug-related crime also increased by 1,394. Here also police were trying to make the street of Gauteng clean, making use of getting rid of the drug-related. In terms of driving under the influence of alcohol, we have reduced by 80 counts. Sexual offenses increased by 258. As a result, the the contact detected as a result, the crime detected as a result of police action went up by 11.8%, 1,688 counts more. In terms of our kidnapping for quarter under review for Gauteng have increased by 64.5%, 774 counts more, 1,974 counts of kidnapping were recorded by the province. Honorable Chairperson, the slides that have included here, it shows what we go into the population that normally we use to compute what we call the per capita for crime. For this one, basically, we are zooming into a contact crime, whereby the unit of measure is a person. So we are interested to all the contact-related crime, contact crime, whereby we have to look at the probability of number of people out of 100,000 population are going to be victims in terms of the specific crime. So here, as we can see from the picture there, Gauteng is still remaining the province with the largest population compared to others. So moving over to this one, looking into murder, sexual offenses, attempted murder, assault, GBH, as well as common assault and common robbery. We can see that the per capita for all this crime for period under review have went up, meaning out of 100,000 population, the probability of people being murdered went up. Under this regard for murder, 10.6% out of 100,000 population, the murder per capita is 10.6. And then sexual offenses also went up from previous period with 19.4. Attempted murder is for 10 out of 100,000 population. Assault GBH is 69.5 out of 100,000 population. Common assault is 88.5 out of 100,000 population. Common robbery, 25.5 out of 100,000 population. For this one, Honorable Chair, we are trying to show the contribution that Gauteng is making towards the national figure. We can see from the volumes there in terms of the overall figure there, Gauteng is the province obviously contributing mainly towards the provincial national figure of 17 community reported. For the quarter under review, we have recorded in total 115,455 counts of 17 community reported. With that regard, we have contributed 27.1% towards the national figure of 17 community reported. Now moving over, showing the district with regards to our provincial picture. Starting with the monthly contribution, making up the quarter, October, November, December, we saw that 17 community reported have increased in 3 months of the quarter. In October, we increased by 2,365. November also went up with 2,521. December as well, we increased by 2,757. When you look at the district there, unfortunately, all the 5 districts within the province have increased the 17 community reported, with Johannesburg there being the highest in terms of the volume as well as the percentage there. They have increased their 17 community reported by 8.3%, 3,206 counts more. Following is Tshwane with a 8.2% increase, 2,308, and Ekurhuleni, an increase of 1,589, 6%. Those are our three heavyweights districts within the province. Hence, whenever there are any increases with these three districts, we should surely expect an increase towards our volumes in Gauteng as a province, because they carry the load in terms of the crime. When we look at this top 40 for our 17 community reported, Chairperson, this station are obviously indicated according to the contribution that they are making towards our provincial scoreboard, irrespective of whether they have increased or reduced. What we are interested in is the contribution that they are making. The top 12 there, they're also featuring in our national list of the 17 community reported, top 30 of the national list of 17 community reported. Our top 5 being Johannesburg Central, Temba, Honeydew, Midrand, as well as Tembisa. All the top 5 have increased with the exception of Honeydew there. We have seen that Honeydew, it has always been stationed after Johannesburg. They always alternate the position with Johannesburg. However, with the load being carried by Cosmo, we have seen the reduction for Honeydew with most of the crime there. Hence, we are seeing the provincial, it has moved further a little down to position number 3, and then nationally it's number 10. They have able to reduce their 17 community by 18%, 392 counts lesser. Although they feature in the 17 community reported because of the volumes of the crime, irrespective of whether they have reduced for the particular period. So in summary, Chairperson, from our top 40 of 17 community reported station, 5 of the station have reduced their crime overall for the quarter under review, and 35 unfortunately have indicated an increase. And of those that indicated an increase, Midrand was the highest in terms of the increases with 303, and Honeydew, as I indicated, reduced the most with 392. These are the remainder of our station. In the 40th position, it is Orlando, having an increase of 7%, 68 counts more. In total, this top 40 station for 17 community reported for period under review, they have contributed 48.9%. I have indicated that before, Chairperson, that this station, we are seeing a slow reduction in terms of the total contribution towards our provincial figure, because when we started monitoring this station in 2019, all in all, they are contributing over 50%, to be exact, 51.1%. Over the years, we have seen this station slowly reducing the percentage towards the provincial figure. Yes, in terms of the percentage, it might look small, but when you look at the actual figure, the figure tells us indeed something is being done in Gauteng towards this top 40 station. Moving over to our contact crime. Contact crime, as depicted, the 3 months of the quarter, October, November, December, we also increase our contact crime with that regard, with October increasing by 1,553, November also registering 640 counts more for contact crime. December, we also went up by 1,625. Also, the district, in terms of this overall category of contact crime, have increased, with Johannesburg there, Tshwane having the most increase there in terms of percentage, 10.6%. Following Johannesburg, Tshwane is Johannesburg, an increase of 9.2%. Citibank increased by 7.4%. Ekurhuleni increase of 6.9%. West Rand increase of 1.1%. Still with this one, we have a top 40 of our contact crime. From this top 40, the first 13th station, which is Johannesburg Central, Alexandra, Tembisa, Temba, Hillbrow, Ivory Park, Mamelodi East, Kagiso, Randfontein, JP Moroka, Eldorado Park, Diepsloot. All forming part. Or should I use my computer instead? Okay, can I continue, Chairperson, or should I?
I think continue, they're sorting out the technical.
Okay. All right, I was still on the contact crime, the top 40. As I indicated from our top 40 of the contact crime station for quota under review, 13 of those are also featuring in the national list. Our top 5 being Johannesburg Central, Alexandra Tembisa, as well as Temba and Hillbrow. So in terms of the provincial position is the one that is indicated in column 1, which we are having 143 stations, and then the RSA position obviously is the total number of all the stations within the Republic of South Africa. So all the top 5 stations as indicated, they have increased. In summary there, out of all our top 40, there only 8 stations have decreased in relation to contact crime, and the remainder, which is 32 stations, have indicated an increase. In terms of those that have indicated an increase from the top 40, Roodepoort was the highest in terms of the number of counts with 157. Honeydew still featuring there in terms of the reduction, although in the top 40 have reduced the contact crime with 188. These are the remainder of our top 40, the last one from our top 40 being Katlehong, with an increase of 14.3%. Now I'll move over to the crimes that are perpetrated against women and children. Crimes against women and children during the period under review, starting with crimes against women. Here we are talking any women at the age of 18 and above. So when we look at this, the picture there, we've seen that total number of women that were murdered during period under review have gone up by 89 counts. In total, 278 women were murdered, which reflected an increase of 89 counts. With regards to sexual offenses, the women also indicated an increase in terms of the victims there, with 204 counts, attempted murder, an increase of 81. In relation to number of women that were assaulted, both from the assault GBH as well as common assault were raped during period under review. Sexual assault also increased by 24. Now when you look at the children here, we are covering both boys and girls between the ages of 0. Reduction in terms of the children that were raped during the period under review, with a reduction of 68 counts, sexual assault, a reduction of 21, attempted sexual offenses, an increase of 8 counts, contact sexual offenses, there was a reduction of 12 counts. Now when we move over to domestic violence related crime, here we are talking people that are having any form of relation, whether being an intimate relationship or blood relationship, even people that are sharing a residential area. Here we are specifically talking about the people who are having some sort of relation. So in Gauteng, all in all, when you look at the 3 months of the period under review, in total, there was a 12,695 counts of crime that were linked to domestic violence that were reported by the province, with December there being the highest in terms of the number of cases that were linked to domestic violence that were reported. When you look at the district contribution there, majority of our DV related cases are from Johannesburg, accounting 39.8% in total, 5,058 counts of those out of that 12,695 cases of assault that were reported. 5,793 cases of those were as a result of domestic violence, the common assault. The second most there is assault with intent to inflict grievous bodily harm, 2,211 cases of assault GBH linked to domestic violence were reported by Gauteng, with female there being the majority of victims by 1,469, male 743. And the third most contributor there towards our cases of domestic violence were from malicious damage to property by 1,721, still with this one, majority of victims being female 1,087, male 634. When I have to zoom to our murders and rape, in total, Gauteng reported 37 counts of murder that were as a result of domestic violence during the period under review. of which 19 of those were female that were murdered as a result of domestic violence, and 18 were male. The leading district there that recorded most cases of murder due to domestic violence were Ekurhuleni with 17, following it was Johannesburg with 8. And then with regards to our rape, in total we had 188 cases of rape that were as a result of DV. In total, female 178, male 10. With this one, the leading district was Johannesburg with 65, following it was Tshwane with 53, Ekurhuleni 36, Sedibeng, Western 18, and Sedibeng with 16. With regards to our recorded murders, with December having the highest number of increase there of 58. Looking at that, this 5%, an increase of 1 count. When you look into or zooming into the causative factors of our murder during period under review, as we have indicated before, arguments, misunderstanding remain our main contributor towards our murder during period. As I indicated, most of us liquor related. So from the sample of 1,670, meaning 97% of 1,721 counts of murder that were reported, the analysis revealed that 179 of those of murder indicated that were from argument and misunderstanding. The second most contribute and tax related with 40 counts. When you look at the other phenomena that we have been highlighted, attributing towards our murder in Gauteng, this is whereby we are having a multiple murder, whereby in one incident resulting in more than one victim being killed. Also, this one pushed the number to go up in terms of our murder. Just in summary for Gauteng alone, in Q3, 59 case dockets of murder were open, but however, they resulted in a total of 145 victims being murdered. So the one that stood out from this one, which having the most in one incident, people being killed, are the two from Ennerdale as well as Johannesburg Central. The Ennerdale one, the robbery related, whereby 7 people were shot. There were also additional charges there of 5 attempted murder. Johannesburg Central, 6 were in the owner of the farm, which have happened in the barrage, is the additional charges there was house robbery. Moving over to the place of occurrence, this is, so from the same sample there, it has been indicated that most of our murder took place at the public place, street and road, etc., with a total of 780 from out of the 1,770 samples that we took. The second most place where these incidents took place or where the bodies were recovered is residence of the victim, being the residence of a victim or the suspect, with a total of 386. The third most place is public place with a total of 107. And business premises also featured there with a total of 68. The instrument used, this is the instrument used during the commission of our murder, as indicated there. Most of the people in Gauteng, they are being murdered using a firearm. In total is 852. As I indicated before, Chairperson, 852 reflect the number of victims that were murdered, not necessarily the number of firearms that were used during the commission of crime, as more than one people can be killed with one firearm. The second most instrument that is preferred by this criminal when killing the victim is knife with 193, and the sharp instrument also featured there with 72. Moving over to a trio crime. The trio crime for 3 months of the quarter, it was only during the month of November whereby we have an increase of 145. In October and December, we have reduced the trio crime. Looking at the district there, 2 of the 5 have reduced and the other 2 increase and the other one stabilized for this subcategory. So those that reduced is Ekurhuleni, reducing by 34 counts, Western also reducing by 38 counts. Johannesburg, unfortunately, increased by 59, Tshwane 7 more counts being stabilized this particular subcategory. We also have a top 40 of our trio crime for period under review, of which 15 of those making up the 50% of the top 30 of national list of the trio crime are from Gauteng. The top 5 being Olivenhout Bosch, Temba, Boysens, Johannesburg Central, Mondio. Those are our top 5 for trio crime. This station are having an increase with the exception of Mondio there from our with the exception of Johannesburg Central from our top 40 having a reduction of 3.5 in relation to the trio crime. Just in summary, the total of 23 stations from our top 40 have indicated an increase, 16 of those reduced. Olivenhout Bosch obviously is taking the lead there in terms of the number of cases that were reported more with a total of 69. Silverton having a highest with 33 counts less that they have registered. Carjacking from our trio there being the first crime there. In the 3 months of the quarter, we have reduced October, November, December. In October there, this is where we have a significant reduction in relation to our carjacking, 109. And December we reduced by 63. Fortunately for those having the most reduction in terms of the number of counts, 96, Ekurhuleni reduced by 73 counts, West Rand reduced by 27. Honorable Chair, we also have a list of our carjacking, of which even for this one, the top 15 from the top 30 of national alone from Gauteng. When you look at our top 5, being Olivenhout Bosch, Ivory Park, Pretoria, top 5 have increased. So in a summary, there 21 stations from our top 40 reduced, 2 stabilized, 17 indicated an increase, and Olivenhout Bosch have indicated the highest increase in terms of the numbers of carjacking that were reported with a total of 32 counts, and Orange Farm from our top 40 have reduced the most counts with total of 29. These are the remainder of our top 40. The station alone contributing 60.4% of the 3 months of the quarter, November being the highest in terms of the number of cases that were reported more, with a total of 100. All the districts except Citibank have increased. Citibank reduced by 5.3%, 8 counts less. And then Johannesburg, Tshwane, and West Rand having the most there in terms of the number of cases that were reported more, with Tshwane having 59 counts more, Johannesburg 50 counts more, Ekurhuleni 26 counts more. We also have our top 40 for robberies at residential premises, of which the top 13 of those stations are also featured in our top 30 of national of robbery at residential premises. The top 5 being Tembisa, Olivenhout Bosch, Mondio, Boysens, Kagiso. All these 5 stations unfortunately have reported an increase in terms of robberies at residential premises. In terms of the summary in relation to this top 40, 12 station decreased, 2 stabilized, 26 stations indicated an increase, with Olivenhout Bosch being the highest in terms of the number of increases with 38 counts, Ivory Park 25 counts lesser being the highest. Moving over to robberies at non-residential, it was only during the month of November where we have recorded an increase with that regard. Looking at the district, Tshwane as well as West Rand have recorded a reduction in terms of the robberies at non-residential premises, with Tshwane reducing by 63 counts, West Rand by 22 counts. Johannesburg was the highest for the increases with 105. We also have our top 40 of robberies at non-residential premises, with the top 14 of those from our top 40 also featured in the National Nigeria Deep Cloth. All the top 5 stations have reported an increase in relation to robberies at non-residential premises during period under review. Only 3 stations stabilized from our top 40, 28 stations indicated an increase, only 9 stations reduced. Kempton Park, for those that are from the increases, have the highest with 19. Mamelodi East reduced the most with 16. These are the remainder of our 9 residential stations for period under review with Silverton. When you look at the method, was on the road with a total of 8. We also have indicated the companies that were targeted there, the top 2 being Group 4 as well as FCS Group 4 with 17 of those to the money. For this one incident, of which the top station there have reported more than two incidents, the rest is only one incident. These are the CIT station during period under review, of which 19 of those also feature in the national list. Moving over to our truck hijacking. Truck hijacking for period under review only during the month of November and December, whereby we have recorded an increase in relation to the 3 months of the quarter, with December having the most with 30 counts more. Looking at the district, only Ekurhuleni as well as Sedibeng have reported the reduction for the truck hijacking, with Sedibeng reducing by 12.2%, 5 counts less. Ekurhuleni a reduction of 2.9%, 3 counts less. In terms of the increases, the most increase was Johannesburg with 20 counts more, following its West Rand with 20 counts. When you look in terms of our rape, during the November month, that's where we reported the reduction in terms of our rape, whereas in October as well as December, we have increased for the cases of rape that were reported. Looking at the district, Tshwane as well as West Rand 6, Ekurhuleni 82, Sedibeng 25 counts more for the rape. When you look at the place of occurrence where these incidents or the crime were committed, in Gauteng, from a sample of 1,441 out of 2,471 counts that were reported for the rape, residence of a perpetrator or a victim, this is the place known either by the victim of the or the perpetrator themselves, with a total of 966. The second most preferred place, whereby 289, the mode of transport also featured and identified as the place of occurrence for the rape that were reported in Gauteng, with a total of 42. When you look at our kidnapping, we have increased the kidnapping throughout the 3 months of the quarter, October, November, December. With the district, only the district of West Rand have reported a reduction of the 86.5% increase. Now, when you look at the motive, as we indicated, we normally say that our kidnapping are emanated from the carjacking, but with that regard, here we are looking at the actual motive whereby the kidnapping in Gauteng were reported. So in total, the kidnappings that were reported that were related or ransom was demanded, it's 76 in total for Gauteng during period under review. Extortion as well featured, with the total of during period under review. Property related, we also lost the 3 months of the quarter there, with December having the highest increase with 385. All the district unfortunately lost with that particular category of crime, with Johannesburg having an increase of 194, Ekurhuleni an increase of 360, Tshwane an increase of 105 counts by Sedibeng district. We also have a top 40 of Kempton Park, with the Brooklyn and Honeydew having a reduction towards the property related for period under review. These are the remainder of our top 40 for property related. Looking at the district, only district of Ekurhuleni have reduced the stock theft by 3.6%, just 1 count lesser. In terms of the increases, the most increases were reported by Sedibeng by 41 counts. Tshwane had an additional 36 counts for the stock theft. West Rand, 13 more were reported. Johannesburg, 17 cases. Although we don't have any station featuring in the national list of top 30 of stock theft, we also have our own top 40 in relation to stock theft. The top 5 being Brooklyn, Fochville, Temba, Vereeniging, Randfontein. With Brooklyn, although being position 1 for the province, they are however reduced by 25 counts. So from our top 40, as I indicated, although we don't have any station in the national list, 10 of these station decreased to stabilize, 28 in total from the top 40 have indicated an increase, with Potchville increasing the highest there with 18 there. With that being said, Honorable Chairperson, this is the story that I had to deliver for period under review with regards to how Gauteng have performed overall with crime. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the statistics. It's quite and those areas are areas that require us to have a different way and a different approach, you know, in the main on how to deal with it, particularly the ones that relates to assault and contact crime, and also the one that deals with theft. Clearly, it means that the efforts that have to be put in to monitor the streets and police the streets needs to actually to increase. And I think we have to welcome like I've said in the opening, you know, the initiatives that have been introduced or that are going to be introduced by the Community Safety Department. And also the issue relating to alcohol is a big problem. It's something that we have actually noted from the side of the committee, that dating access actually to alcohol. The issue relating to firearms, you know, I know you are worried about firearms in the street, but we are also equally worried with those firearms in the police station that have been recovered. You know, the case in point is the Norwood story, police station story, where, you know, those that have been recovered, they actually go missing from the hands of the police stations. And it's something that actually, you know, worry us quite a lot. And issues that has come up very sharply on our radar is the Rabi Ridge police station. You know, we keep getting scenes where we find a number of university students. You know, Auckland Park has been one of the areas that are actually targeted by criminal, big problem, and social also part of the crime does go up. So yes, indeed, we have to celebrate little victories on Kajas. Celebrating this, we need to concern to make questions and make after the response. Okay, we'll put catheters. Let's also be mindful of time.
In terms of us being unable to reduce crime to a level where our people can have confidence in our law enforcement agencies. What is also disappointing is that I didn't hear it, but I know by mentioning this, the commissioner will then be able to respond and give us a positive response to the issue that I'm going to raise. I mean, when we present reports every quarter, we're also expecting some form of plans that are developed to mitigate against the challenges that we're experiencing in our province. We appreciate Ukayamulao. There's a lot that have been done in Ukayamulao, but also there's a room for improvement in terms of making sure that where we are actually not able to benefit through Ukayamulao in crime reduction, we need to then come with new approaches to crime reduction. I mean, if you have rape almost every, I don't want to say every minute because I'm not confident in saying that, but every day the rate of rapes is actually coming up, and it shows that our province is actually unable to protect women and children. So surely some form of a different approach need to be developed in order to address those particular challenges, and I'll actually be happy to hear from the PC what strategy are we now coming up with? New strategy. I don't think we need to keep on referring to the old strategies that we have introduced, but let's come up with a new strategy to really, really reduce this kind of criminal activity in our province. We can't have women and children who are always staying in fear. You know, you go out as a woman, your daughter goes out as a young woman, you are scared. Every 15 minutes you need to call her and find out if she's still safe. So surely there must be some drastic program or strategy to try and cap this particular. We can't keep on marching. We can't keep on having 16 days of activism against rape and assault of women in this country. We really need to see our law enforcement agencies coming up with a strategy to actually stop this before it happened. Chair, I must also congratulate the narcotics unit for closing quite a few drug labs. But, you know, again, we are not winning in terms of fighting against drugs in our, more and more young men and women are actually becoming drug addicts in our province. So surely we are unable to close the market. And I think we need to develop a strategy to close the market once and for all. And of course, the borders that are well known, the Mozambique border, for example, is the one that is contributing to a high rate of consumption of drugs, particularly nyaupe in our country. And why are we not targeting that particular port and surely close it, make sure that no drugs come into our country? Because whatever intervention we're coming up with, trying to take those addicts into rehabilitation, we know the rate of being permanently rehabilitated is actually very low, and because of the kind of drugs that are mixed as Fagagunya Opeche. So I think, again, we request that the law enforcement agencies need to then indicate to us what exactly are we doing, what kind of strategies are we coming up, new strategies in this case, to try and close the market for drugs in our country. The other issue, Chair, is our crime prevention strategies, PC, they've reached a sell-by date, unfortunately. And I'm sorry I need to say that. Hence, I keep on saying new strategies, because abotsotsi sebafundile indlela zokuthi basibalekela kanjani, Chair. The other issue, Chair, is the issue of the value chain in terms of the criminal justice system. If there are people who are failing us in this case, are our courts. Our police work very hard to investigate and arrest perpetrators who, in most cases, even on crimes where a bail is not supposed to be given, they are actually given bail. And I think, Chair, through this committee, we need to then make a recommendation to a justice committee in national that justice must actually call those prosecution, and of course sometimes some of the magistrates, to come and account on a quarterly basis as well, on convictions, particularly on serious cases like murder and rape. It should not be only SAPS that is called to come and account, and the people who are supposed to help SAPS to actually fight crime permanently are actually they're not called to come and actually account. So I'm actually recommending that they are also supposed to report on a quarterly basis, Chair. Commissioner, I'll actually hope that at some point we'll get a presentation that indicates, show us figures that in the last 3 or 4 years, have we seen any reduction or an increase? And if there is an increase, why? So it means whatever we're trying to do doesn't have permanent solution to actually reduce crime. And another question is, what is the acceptable percentage on serious crime, particularly on trio crimes? Where can you say, you know, in education, they've made it clear, anyone who gets less than 60% or less than 70% is actually, there's a focus on that particular school, and a lot of resources are put in, a lot of strategies are put in for that school to perform. And what do we do as SAPS to make sure that people are at a certain level in terms of crime fighting in order to actually develop confidence in our system? Chair, the last two is actually the issue of kidnapping. We all know that kidnapping, most of it happens to business people, particularly Indian origin. And I think it's time that we also look at that together with some of the private investigating companies, because I've heard the Premier saying we're now working with private companies to actually reduce crime. So I think this issue needs to be tackled, because we now know that majority of the people who get kidnapped are Indian business people, Chair. And then the issue of helping the 40 underperforming, this is directed to the department. What are we doing to help the 40 underperforming stations in order for them to reach a certain rate that will indicate that there is improvement and people in those precincts are actually feeling safe or are beginning to feel safe? And the last one, Chair, is the one that you've mentioned, which is about the universities. I mean, we all know between January and March, there is a high rate on attack on students, including scamming by bogus colleges and bogus accommodation agents. It will be interesting to hear from our law enforcement agencies what is the strategy to try and deal with this issue. That strategy should actually include private security firms as well as the student and university leadership, in order to make sure that our children coming from different provinces, particularly those who come from rural provinces, are actually protected when they come here. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. Member Kanyile.
Thank you, Chairperson. Let me also welcome the presentation. The first issue I would like to find out is the PC has emphasized the fact that if we can implement fully the crime prevention strategy, I think I'm using his words, it can assist. I read in that it would seem we are not implementing it fully. Is it possible that the PC can at some stage, if it's possible today, but at some stage, just assist us to understand what are the weaknesses with this crime prevention strategy, so that you can be able to make the necessary interventions to deal with those matters. The second thing, Chair, is that with the announcements that was made by the Premier on the accelerated crime prevention strategies or plans, how ready is the South African Police Service in Gauteng to ensure that that plan becomes a success? So in other words, I'm trying to find out, given the fact that the announcement has been made, capacity, will there be, does the PC think that there might also be a need for some legislative interventions, or as things stand, it will be implemented? Lastly, Chair, I just want to find out from the PC. I know that the PC is supposed to also, amongst others, check when the municipalities adopt their IDPs, supposed to check particularly on the section that has to do with local safety strategies, and look at some of those things. I want to find out if it's still the case, and if so, can at some stage get a sense, because one of the important role of the police, of the Metro Police Department, is crime prevention. If you can get a sense of based on what the PC has been assessing, what has been the impact of the plans that have been put by the MPDs, municipal police departments, in fighting the crime. I am aware that they are also involved in Ukayumla, which you congratulate. I think it's important as a committee that you also congratulate the PC on Ukayumla, because we now heard that it's going to be a national operation, and I think we have led as Gauteng in this regard. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Member Hoffman.
Thank you, Chair, and to the PC and the MEC and everybody here. Thank you for attending. I don't want to overstate the obvious. I think the stats speak for themselves. But firstly, I want to give my condolences to the law enforcement officers that lost their lives. I think everybody here and people outside really appreciate the sacrifice that they've made and the sacrifices of their families. Then I want to bring to you to page 25. Here we can see that mob justice are contributing to 102 murders. This for me is an indication that the members of the public is losing confidence in our law enforcement and judicial system, taking the law into their own hands. We must, as a collective, re-establish discipline in the SAPS, and the perception of the public must be changed. Lastly, with regards to the 97 counts of violent unrest, we have to equip our members with better public order equipment. As South Africa holds its breath for the 20th of March unrest, we have to make sure that the SAPS members are well prepared to protect property and human lives. With that, I want to conclude PC and MEC. I think I want to concur with the previous speakers on Ukai Malau. I think that it is a great initiative. I've been on some of them, and I have seen successes, and we do also see successes within your stats because of Ukai Malau. But I do think, Chair, through you, that there is something that is broken within the SAPS, and that is discipline. I think we struggle to get our members motivated for various reasons. The equipment that we do give these members are broken. I'm speaking specifically about the vehicles. They are broken, they are damaged, they are at long stages in the garages for repairs, and that is a problem. I would rather like to see that we enact Article 34 of the SAPS Act, that we go after members that destroy the vehicles that is given to them, and that we reinstill discipline in SAPS and in the police stations. With regards to that, I want to thank the SAPS leadership for acting on complaints. I think there's not many instances where I've seen the government act that swiftly and that fast. So, General, to you, we really appreciate it. And it takes a man and a real general to act when it needs to be acted. With that, Chair, I am finished. Thank you.
Member Masolen.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good morning to everyone here, to you, Chairperson, the PC, the Brigadier, and all the members that are here. Chairperson, my first one is on the new initiatives, actually, that was introduced, the peace wardens that will be recruited, the 6,000 of peace wardens that will be recruited. I just want to find out about the criteria that will be used. Is it going to spread across the Gauteng to ensure that all parts of Gauteng are covered? Part of those initiatives, face recognition, I'm not sure how is it going to assist, Chair, when half of the time we do not have power. There's no electricity. So I'm not really sure on this face recognition, how is it going to be implemented? Or how is it going to function fully? On the drugs, Chair, we hear that, police, some of the police, not all of them, of course, are colluding with criminals. And it's a fact. This is what we hear from the communities out there. The question is, some of these criminals who are arrested, do they also include police officers? And lastly,
I would like to actually to congratulate my colleague, MEC of Community Safety in Joburg, Dr. Mgcinitswaku, with Operation Manje Namhlanje. As you can see on page 12, under Honeydew, Johannesburg District, the stats have decreased by minus 392, which is minus 18% there. So congratulations, Dr. Swaku, on your good work. Thank you very much, Chair.
Member Bosch. Member Bosch, are you covered? Okay, it's a 10.
Thank you, Chair. I have a couple of concerns that I would like to raise. First of all, just with regards to the murder stats. The murder stats is not broken down in this presentation for each of the police stations. So we can't, it's just lumped together with the contact crimes. And contact crimes is very broad, and I think based on all the killings and murders that has been taking place in our province specifically over the last year, and there's a constant increase, it is actually very important for us to have a proper breakdown where you can see at which police stations are these the murders specifically increasing and what is the cause thereof. So I would like to just see, maybe the table was not included in my pack, maybe that's a problem, but I would really like to see a proper breakdown of where the actual murders took place and which police stations are at risk and what are we going to do about it. Because we can't just lump it together with assault. There's a big difference between assault and a murder. Then just with regards to the firearms as weapons that is used by for the murders, that is in the one table or the graph that is reflected there, it seems like that is a sample size. So that sample size compilation and it also links up with the gangsterism issue, is how was this sample size compiled? How was it determined from the various dockets that was used to compile the stats in that specific graph? From which stations is it? Because if you look at the gang-related there, it says 13, but I can tell you now off by heart that 13 is definitely not a true reflection of what's happening in our province if you had to look at places like Westbury and Riverlea and Alderare Park. Then, Chair, I've also got a concern that if you look at the stats, every quarter, for the last 2 years specifically, there's some stations that continues to appear on these stats, and it seems like they are in fact increasing more and more and climbing the top 10, top 40 ladder instead of decreasing, and I think it's something that we need to interrogate. If you look at, for instance, Olivenhout Bosch is in every single table that is in the stats, and that raises concerns. If you visited the Olivenhout Bosch station, and I just want to thank the MEC for helping me out when I called her hysterically one night about Olivenhout Bosch specifically, but they are severely under-resourced. They've got 23 detectives sitting inside one container that they need to share desks with each other. And this is just one of the contributing factors. The actual facility is not conducive, to do the investigations and to address the crime. And the fact that Olivenhout Bosch in some instances is the top-rated police station for some of the crime elements, number 2, top 5, but it continues on every single list. It's something that we need to look into. Bronkhorstspruit Police Station is visible in every single one of these tables, or almost every one of them, in the crime stats. And if you know the Bronkhorstspruit area, you would know that that police station is covering about 2,000 square kilometers. It's impossible for that station to do proper crime prevention and police visibility in the area. And there is a satellite police station that has been closed since 2019 in the Zitubeni area that's not open. There's no resources allocated to that station. And by fixing that small little issue of opening up Zitubeni police station, you could relieve the pressure that is on the Bronkhorstspruit police station. Similar to Rietgat. Rietgat, we visited Rietgat. We did an oversight inspection there. And the crime continues to rise in this area specifically as well. Eldorado Park is another one, which relates to the gangsterism. So I think what we should do is we should not just look at the stats, but we need to interrogate the stats. And instead of just waiting for the next quarter and accepting the fact that these police stations will be on that crime statistics again, we need to interrogate what is the reason for it and start to address the concerns in that area. Because, and I strongly believe, and I would like to make the suggestion of a proposal, that these stations that is, highly affected by crime, that part of the interrogation should maybe be changing shifts and moving people around, so that we can see if that won't maybe solve the HR issue. And I also just want to relate to my colleague, Member Hoffman, about the unrest on the 20th and what measures have we put in place, because we've seen what happened previously, with shutdowns and things like that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I think a lot of questions and concerns and comments have been made. I will allow the team from SAPS to respond, and maybe some of the issues might also require the MEC to have a word or two on them. But basically the concern is the same with all what the members have been saying. The disappointment and the disheartening fact that we are not almost on top of the situation of crime in related categories. So let me allow you to respond, PC, and you will then give those who will respond to specific questions. PC.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Firstly, I'm going to request Brigadier Chakalani to respond on the issue of sampling the murder cases, and then Major General Nongovela can remark on the Bronkhorstspruit and Olivenhout Bosch, and then I will cover some of the questions which were raised. In that order, Brigadier Chakalani and then General Nongovela.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. My questions will be the two coming from Honorable Bosch regarding the matter in relation to the stations as well as the sample size. Honorable Bosch, I think in terms of the breaking down of the station, we have the two versions that were provided, which is the long and the short version. The stations in terms of the breakdown will be indicated under top 40 of murder stations. Even the causative factor also indicate the breakdown of the murders. In relation to the sample size, when we are saying we are taking a sample size for a particular offense, for instance, in this particular murder, we said 1,721 in total. This is the total counts of murder that were reported. We took a sample of 1,670. That 1,670, this is where our focal analysis is based on. It is when we do the causative factor, the instrument, and other factors. So normally, as we know that when you do a sample, we have different type of sample. For us to align ourselves with the scientific method, we do what we call random sample. The random sample is whereby giving each and every element, the total population, having an equal opportunity of being selected so that the sample can be represented. So we are not necessarily doing the purposeful, because in that way we're going to be biased. So when we said random sampling, meaning we are doing systematically way. So let's say we are saying out of 1,000, out of 3 we select. So that's how we are doing. So in that 1,670, so it happened that from that 1,670, only 13 of those that could be identified. So our sample is indicated as 97, which is in terms of the scientific is big enough because we are looking in terms of the margin of error as well as confidence level. Those are the 2 critical issues that we take into consideration when we do our sample size. So sample doesn't change from the variables from variables. When we look at the 1,600, this is what we stick with across when we do our sample. So it happened that in that 1,600, 13 cases of those were linked to gang related, irrespective of the station. Because remember, when we select randomly, we are not looking in particular the station. In that way, we're going to be biased. We are saying in this pot of elements that are represented by Gauteng, we are randomly selected so that all the station can be represented, so that we are not purposefully selecting the station. Thank you. I thought maybe I'm answering.
General, maybe go to the mic. Baba.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson and all members of the committee, all representatives of various sectors. I think the most important thing that we need to realize is that the issues that have been raised with regard to Olivenhout-Bosch in particular are accurate. The fact that the station is grossly under-resourced, we really do know about that. Now, what is being done? The South African Police Service has already commissioned a study by organizational development in order for us to upgrade that station to a next level in terms of the ranking and in terms of the resources that will be deployed there and in terms of the buildings that will be built. In other words, the station will be built in the near future. By near future, I mean sometimes before the end of this year, we would have already started that project. That's on Olivenhout-Bosch. We acknowledge the problems that are there, and indeed, when it comes to the question of how we are dealing with the crime in that particular area, acknowledging that the crime is high because of various social factors that are affecting that community, we are also deploying as many members as possible from the district in order to assist the station in dealing with the crime situation. And then coming to Bronkhorstspruit. Bronkhorstspruit, definitely we need to agree that Bronkhorstspruit is a semi-rural area. In other words, there are parts that are rural, where we are having farms. Farms are very broad properties. And we are also having plots. Plots are also very big properties. But additional to that, we are also having other communities that are gradually moving to Bronkhorstspruit in the form of settlements. Then based on that, what we are doing is to look at how can we mobilize, particularly the farming communities and other communities, so that when we deal with the crime situation, we deal with the crime situation based on the problems that are affecting those various communities and have one common approach, which is not necessarily a one-size-fits-all, because whatever you will do as a plan to police the farms cannot be the same as a plan that you will do to police Zitobeni, for example. Now, when it comes to the satellite police station in Zitobeni, I have attended a meeting with various stakeholders, including the ward councillor. That's where we address the problem of that satellite police station. We are still looking at the logistics that goes with the handling of the place as a satellite police station. What we proposed is that we are going to use that place currently as a contact point before it becomes a satellite police station, because when it is a satellite police station, we need to have various procedures to follow. For example, there must be a care system that is going to be installed and all those other equipments. So that's where we are now insofar as Zitoben is concerned. So those places are receiving necessary attention. Rietgat, when it comes to Rietgat, the problems that are affecting Rietgat, Soshanguve, Garankuwa, and Mabopane are more or less the common problems, the same problems. Now there, whenever we conduct our policing in those areas, what we found is that the majority of people, particularly on Fridays, Saturdays, the majority of people entertain themselves through drinking liquor. One thing which is very ironical in most of the communities, whenever we go and whenever we police, what we found is that even those communities that claim to be very poor, they have money to buy liquor. That's the challenge we are facing in our society. Unfortunately, even if you can go to a squatter camp where people are saying we have nothing to eat, but the liquor money will be there. So those are socio-economic factors that need to be addressed broadly. And they are not going to be addressed by us as the police alone. We need to look at how can we collectively manage these problems. And those are the problems that are affecting Rietgat, as you mentioned, Soshanguve, Garankuwa, and those parts of the north. And we are attending to them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. PC?
Thank you very much, General Nongovela. Yeah, piggybacking on what you have just said, I will remark on what Honorable Bosch said, to say we should not just look at crime stats in isolation. We need to interrogate the reasons, and I fully agree with that. I fully agree with that, because at times we look at the numbers and then all of us, then we throw our hands in the air. It is important that we interrogate the root causes of crime, because where crime is happening, it doesn't just happen because of or with the absence of the police. There are so many factors that goes with it. Some of the things were just alluded by General Nongovela here. The environmental design of an area is having an impact on what is happening in that community. The socio-economic factors, it does have an impact on what is happening in those areas. And when we only look at the crime stats and then we throw our hands in the air, we lose the opportunity to address some of the community concerns on the ground. We are not attending to those things. And if we don't attend to that, we'll come back again next month, we'll talk about the same thing. Next year, we'll talk about the same thing until we agree to say that crime is not just happening in isolation. The root causes of crime needs to be attended to. I fully agree with you on that one. And it goes back to, I want to also piggyback it with what Honorable Hoffman remarked, to say that mob justice, amongst the others, it may be the lack of confidence in the criminal justice system. It may be one of the reasons, but not the only reason. We have never had a mob justice in Sandton. Never. So let us also check, where is this mob justice happening? And then we start dealing with those things. So hence I'm saying that we must not just look at the numbers and throw our hands in the air. Things are happening because of the condition in which the people are living. Some of those areas where this mob justice are happening, those areas are not even accessible to the government services. Ambulances, they can't even go there. Police, they can't even go there because there's no road, there's no lighting, there's no basic municipal services in that particular space. So the communities, when they're there, they will develop their own system because they find themselves on their own. So again, we cannot just talk about crime in isolation. And talking to what Honorable Member said, when we arrest people for drugs, do we also arrest the police? When we arrest criminals, we arrest criminals. We don't care whether you are the police, you are the pastor, you are the priest, you are whoever. For us, you commit crime, you are a criminal, we arrest you. And then the issue of Member Kanyile, when he said that in my recommendation, it also goes to what Member Malobane was saying that new strategy. Previously, I've made mention of the integrated violence and crime prevention strategy. I've made mention of that. Cabinet have approved it. It's for the government to implement that strategy. And that strategy, it talks about the whole of government approach in addressing the issues of crime. Not only the police, all of us, all the stakeholders, all the departments. And that strategy is anchored into 6 pillars. It talks about the effective criminal justice. That's pillar number 1. Number 2, early intervention in preventing crime. Victim support and interventions. Effective and integrated service delivery. Safety through environmental design. Active public and community participation. Those are the pillars of that strategy. So until such time whereby we say we hold each other accountable, not only just the police. Because once we start focusing on the police and think that the police are going to solve the problem of crime in this country, surely we are going to wait the longest time to can resolve these issues. We'll come back next month and we'll repeat the same thing. So that is why in my conclusion I said if we fully implement this, the Premier have already adopted that. All these interventions which the Premier is talking about, it is his attempt to can support. And in this strategy, it talks about the role of all the spheres of government, from the municipality, the provincial government, and the national government. All of us, we have the responsibility to can assist in fighting crime because crime is a societal problem. That's what needs to happen. And when I go to what Member Kanyile also mentioned, the issue of the metros. Our metros in this province, they have a problem, serious problems. Others, they don't even have cars. And those are the realities. Those are the realities. And hence you find that even they can't even fulfill their triple mandate, traffic management, bylaws enforcement, crime prevention. We have a problem of bylaws enforcement in this province, and hence there is an outcry by the community to say there is lawlessness in the country. And for us to can send a strong message to the communities that there is order in this province, broken window syndrome approach must be implemented, whereby we deal with each and every crime. We don't talk about the small, big crime. So bylaws enforcement, that's where we need to start. So currently, the metros are trying, but they are not where they are. And sadly so, some they are not even resourced. You go to Tshwane there, they are also not adequately resourced. They don't have even the rifles. So things like that. And these things, it affects how we deal with crime in the province. This is the biggest province in terms of the population. This is the economic hub of the country. This is the province which is receiving a lot of people in terms of the migration, regular or irregular migration into the province. So it requires all shoulders on the wheel. It requires all of us to can do our part in terms of fighting crime. But there is limitations, and we acknowledge those limitations. The issue of the drugs, again, when I go to what Member Malobane was talking about, the drugs is a problem. Not only in this province, but I'm talking about this province because I'm deployed in this province. It is a serious problem. We have the biggest airport in the continent, OR Tambo. The number of drugs intercepted there by the DPCI is pleasing, but the people they keep on bringing. They use the land borders. They use the sea borders. Containers from Durban Harbor to City Deep. Some of those containers, when we open them, we find the drugs in there. But also those who are manufacturing drugs in the country. You know, the precursors of the drugs. Those things, when people they're in possession of those things, it is not unlawful. But once you start mixing them to form drugs, it becomes a crime. So we also deal with those kind of things. And we won't lose focus on the dealing of the drugs. The school children, they've also come up with their own way of manufacturing their own drugs. They buy medicaments and then they mix it with Coca-Cola. Just on the week, Saturday, we were in DTR with the MEC there. We stop a bus full of young people there. They are having these medicaments. They are mixing it with Coca-Cola, they make drugs. So, again, it's a societal problem which requires all shoulders on the wheel, all of us. We can't just opposition that issue to the law enforcement to say that they must be the only one who's dealing with the drugs here. The people who are consuming these drugs are our own children, our own fathers, our own brothers, our own sisters. What is that which we are doing as a society to can discourage those people from taking the drugs? So it needs a holistic approach to can deal with the issues of the drugs in our country. Again, to say what is the new strategy? I repeat, Cabinet have approved the strategy, whole of government approach. All of us, let's dirty our hands, shoulders on the wheel. We deal with crime. All of us, each department, each role player, citizens, all of us will be able to can reduce the levels of crime. But as with us, the law enforcement agencies, we are hard at work. We won't get tired. You'll see us on the street during the day. You'll see us on the street during the night. We'll continue to fight crime. And those who commit crime, they will be arrested, and we'll continue to can arrest them. Coming to the issue of the shutdown, we are prepared. We will deploy our members. We have mobilized the broader society to can work with us so that there must be peace and stability in our province. Protesting, marching, picketing is guaranteed in the constitution of the country, but people, they must just do it within the ambit of the law. While they are exercising their democratic right, fair enough, limitation of those rights. Let us also respect the rights of other people who doesn't want to participate in those activities, but will be on the ground. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you. MEC?
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and greetings to the members and to all the law enforcement agencies that are here with us today, including the Community Policing Forum, Provincial Policing Board. Yes, the board that is here is the Chairperson and the Deputy Secretary that have joined us this morning. Let's also acknowledge the MPDs that are here. MMC, I saw him, but I suspect he's busy with mobilization for the 20th. So we are Pumuyangena. We are Pumuyangena a meeting and his colleague, her colleague is sitting here, his colleague is sitting here. But what is important, Chair, is when you look at the crime stats, I think even what members are lamenting on, it's one thing that we keep on lamenting about, that there are stations that continue to remain in the top 40 nationally. Is it top 30? Yeah, top 30. Nationally, they call it top 30. Then Tinala in the province, we then focus on which stations are also giving us problems within the top 40 stations that we have here in Gauteng. And obviously, Alexander Isali, Oliven, it's always there, Ivory Park, and Tembisa, Mamelodi. Those are stations that you know. They are forever and in the crime stats, and within the top 30, including with us in the province, then we put them at top 10 of the stations that are up. But also it has to do with population, Chair. I'm sure if members are aware what is the population of these areas, how many undocumented people are there? It's a mammoth task. They are hugely congested, and it makes policing also not easy. And with the resources that are there, you find the law enforcement agencies find it tough also. I don't know if you have ever tried to get to Alexander Police Station, Chair. I want to give you that task. Uzamu yotu yongene police station lase Alex. Literally, sometimes you even feel like getting out of your car and say, hey, Susani moto sifuna ukudlula. Because they even park in the middle of the road. Now, police now, if they have to respond, urgently so, it means police can't even, those roads are not passable because of one, lawlessness, and people just parking anywhere, spaza shops that even exist on the pavements and everything. Wonke umuntu uyathengisa laphaya. Hambe ebusuku khona kuwest nabantwana bayadlala. So it makes even policing more complicated. And as society, as community, will always clamor on police. Amaphoyisa, amaphoyisa, amaphoyisa. I usually give a good example that if you listen to that Tracy Chapman song, it now exposes my age. There's that song that when she sings says, the police always come late if they come at all. It's what we actually are experiencing, because sometimes it's a struggle for police to go out there. Sector vans are there, and you know, Chair, time and again, out of how many are at garages, how many have gone for repairs, we even as the provincial government are donating vans now, so that then linking Ayama van that are also written off, it also, we also assist the SAPS to say, you can't forever be telling us about challenges of vans. Nati are also assisting you with the resources. So it's the commitment that we're doing and it's the commitment that we're doing. And it's in line also with the integrated crime prevention strategy that says all spheres of government need to put their shoulders to the will to be able to assist one another in fighting crime, so that then it not only remains a police matter, the issue of fighting crime, but your integrated law enforcement, that is there. And I think what PC is always lamenting on the challenges that the MPDs are experiencing, I think also it has got to do with the governance at those metros. So no sooner the stability in the metros, the better. Then we'll see these law enforcement officers that are supposed to be there doing their triple plans or their priorities being implemented. And what is good is that they also assist SAPS, especially when it comes to freeways. Because now they've got resources, they're able to do. I'll speak for JMPD. You find each and every off-ramp, there is a metro car either there, monitoring or scarecrow or whatever, but it's always there. And it actually assists, because any criminal will know that I can't take a chance and go in off-ramp here or on ramp here. I'll come across the police and naganjani, they'll be able to arrest me, or even ask, oh, you know your stop and searches that are normally done. Currently, there's a chief session that is on for the next 2 weeks. All these underperforming police stations, they are currently have been called to come and account. I'll share with you the venue where they are currently, but it started yesterday. So we've called all these stations through our provincial secretariat of really getting to the bottom of it, what it is that are challenges, why we keep on seeing the underperformance. These stations that continue always being there. Temba used to be number 1 when it comes to sexual offenses, but it has improved. It's no longer number 1, but it still remains within your top 10. Your Ritgat, your Mabopan, but ezinye is the contribution yabo mavuso ngaphakathi. Kukho into ibizwa ukuthi umavuso. Chairperson azi uyayazi na. Kukhona into ekuthiwa imavuso. If you want me to explain what is this mavuso, I'll explain to you. Awuyazi mavuso, where women are auctioned and you get to be taken by ilandoda nje esisoskulu nje, go with you. And then in the morning they wake up, they go and open cases. When the cases have been opened, obviously they will then come back to you and say, I've opened a case against you. You want us to continue, or are you going to pay me? So sometimes labo mavuso, they go auction abapatali, and then thereafter the woman will go and open a case. And if you manage to pay, then the case gets removed from the court. What police are good now in doing, say, no, you can't come and cancel it here at the police station. Masambe siya court. Every Monday, go to these courts that are within that area. There's a long queue of people that have gone there to withdraw cases. Now, it means as society also we need to educate one another. That yes, let's have fun and do whatever that we want to do, but bottom line, let us also not clog the system and it be us that are actually going to withdraw these cases and be able to assist even in educating, because abanye they're as young as 16 years old, Chairperson, others as young as 14 years old. So it means young people also, that's why we've got Ama Youth Desk to be able to assist us, so that then young people are actually being made conscious. Uguti. Some of the participating in some of the things that we do, sometimes they make us to be able to end up reflecting badly on society. Community mobilization is very crucial, and that is why the CPF is here. They are the C part of CPF. C is community, P is police. Then it is a forum. That is why they are here, because their responsibility, and I'm sure you even hear the president each time he addresses, he will always say CPFs play an important role in mobilizing communities in the fight against crime. So we need to ensure that all the CPFs are functional and all CPFs are participating in ensuring that they mobilize communities in the fight against crime. So continuously, Oliven will always be there. The other time I happened to be working underground, I won't tell you where. And some of these committee members, they tell you, in Oliven, you dare come with a stolen good and try to sell it, they are going to burn you alive. So mob justice is also a problem there. But criminals know that I can't go and steal and try and go and sell in Oliven. The community is but so these are things that we need to do and engage the community and teach and educate them about the wrong things, because once you do mob justice, you are also guilty, because you have killed a person. Minister was there, was it in 2021? 2021 now. 2021, we even managed to build the structures. Their CPF was non-existent. And there's a land next to the police station that we were told that land belongs to Public Works. The police station can be expanded using that land that is next door. It was just kept as they will store it. So what Major General Nengovela has actually outlined here is true. We've engaged through Public Works, including Acacia. Another police station that has got a challenge of a yard is Acacia. They are using municipal building. And municipal building yak. As a result, they also are experiencing those challenges. There's the Tobeni one, Chair. It was built by the municipality. It was not necessarily built by the SAPS. And unfortunately, the community banned it during the protests. And remember, you ban it, you build it nowadays. So it's them that put resources again and build that police station in Zitobeni. So that's why Major General Nengovela is saying, we're busy assessing to check how can you utilize it. But for now, it's actually going to be used as a contact point. Remember, satellite police stations are also dangerous for the police, because criminals, they know you don't have safes, you don't have any other thing. So for them to actually be able to be a fully fledged police station, it's going to take some time, but it has to be declared by the provincial commissioner that that place is actually being given a status of being a satellite police station. But for now, it will be a contact point. And also with the rolling out of mobile police stations, they're actually assisting, because to be able to assist communities. Of course, they'll demand it that they also want it at night. Unfortunately, it can't be there at night because it is also not safe for the police. The problem of alcohol, Chair. Hey, utwala inking ranjan. We thought sometimes minister is over exaggerating, but we've seen it. Utwala inking everywhere. Our problems are mainly around alcohol. The mere fact that they've started even introducing young people to alcohol through giving them a cough mixture, and they are sold. And we've been engaging Department of Health to say it needs to start regulating where these cough mixtures must actually be sold, because anyone can just buy this and they mix it. You go to school grounds at any given point in time, Chair, you will find empty bottles of cough mixture. So young people, they drink that, space cookies that get sold in the school, and then spaza shops that sell a certain pill they call Zen. That Zen is also contributing to our problems. I'm told it's for calming people who have got mental challenges. So nasebeliphuzile leli pilisi, hayi ziyabuya esikolweni beyihlanganise ne-cough mixture. Our teachers are in real trouble. But I'm sure through the school safety prevention strategies that we're also rolling out, we'll also be able to assist. Time and again, schools get searched. But we are targeting learners. I think it's about time we also start targeting teachers. Because no teacher. We can't always be focusing on learners, but after an hour, then the behavior is back to normal. It means somebody else comes in to supply those young people. Chair, will end there for now, but with our crime prevention wardens still at the college and technology coming in, we've already procured their cars, they are ready, we're just branding them. We've already procured the drones, we're just calibrating them in line with the civil aviation. Here imithetho mningi kanjani lena e-regulator lento lezi. Last week we were doing site visit of the helicopters. We believe also with helicopters we'll enter them in the airspace, because sometimes if there's a cash in transit, they close down the road. Police can't even go in there and attend to that scene. But if we come with a helicopter, how azotholakala besazama ngisho nanokuyithatha le mali ngeke basakwazi ukuyithatha. But when Premier keeps on insisting that we need a cashless province, if you look at CITs, Krugersdorp is number 1. And why Krugersdorp? Ukuthi yonke imali ye-Krugersdorp. Mina bengazi imali ye-Krugersdorp, ngabuza uGeneral Kekana ngelinye ilanga. Why when your incidences are so high when it comes to athi hayi MEC akere chelete bayitlisa honna mona mo Krugersdorp. Uphendule ngesuthu njengoba ngisho chelete bayitlisa honna mo Krugersdorp. So these cars sometimes they are unaccompanied, but through PC we said they must start also engaging Isabrik and all these companies that are transporting money, because it can't be right that njalo nje their cars at 6 p.m. imoto ifuna nestrategy man, imoto ephethe imali. Isn't that car should have long have reached its destination, and they're actually checking that car. So the inside job nayo sesiyayisola ngaphakathi, but how will you know ukuthi le moto izodlula ngo-6 o'clock ngaseKagiso graveyard, and obviously it's abandoned. That area is abandoned. So it just creates chaos, and they're able to take money and run away. But I'm sure with the ongoing discussions and the partnering with the security industry and partnering with everyone, we will see crime going down in Gauteng. That's the determination of all of us. Ngiyabonga kakhulu, Chairperson.
Thank you. Members, we are fine. And I wanted to ask if the CPF would want to say something. It's next to you.
Chairperson of the committee, thank you very much. And just quickly, one would say protocol observed. No, it's true that some of the happenings are for 2020, 2021 in these crime stats. Some shifts have happened in the past 12 months or so. So obviously that will follow in the, I take in the next session of 2022, 2023, 2024. But also one is relieved that the 6,000 recruitment or efforts will also assist, because they'll be ward-based. The response and the e-panics and the e-buttons gadgets will play a very important role, and we have seen some demonstrations that give us a hope. Community intelligence remains very important, and our appeal is simple. When we give this intelligence, at times you might think it's just not valid, but it's very important to all law enforcement that, especially the metros, I want to emphasize also on the metros, because these bylaws, if you can address the issues of the bylaws, half of your problems in terms of crimes, because before there's going to be a gig or a street closure and so forth, there are processes that must be followed. If not, bylaws must then enforce. So the ward-based policing, I think, will also assist when the 6,000s are coming back, because then it will allow that the response and the responding and the responsive mechanism will work better. Obviously, it's an integrated or will be integrated approach with all the mainstream law enforcement. Maybe, God's willing, by this time next year we should speak different on certain stations and certain crimes. We also want to say that part of the stations that were mentioned here, I think Major General Ngobela mentioned, we know for the fact that our people and community patrollers in those areas, we are looking forward to assist them, to empower, but also to participate more on the community intelligence, because I'm sure General Kumalo here would want more, and Brigadier Ntuli would want more in terms of that kind of intelligence. At some point, Chairperson, I think the issue of informer network, we should look at it at some point. I think we can't every time not also include that. The political environment obviously will be addressed by politics, but there are basic things. You don't have informers, it's very difficult to police, and community intelligence relies on the informers of our people, including our CPF members that sometimes have in that kind of intelligence. It's a question of how do we best utilize that and take that into consideration. July 2020 has actually taught us that no information is useless. You take what you want and use and utilize, but all information or data, as raw as it is, will play a role. But thank you very much, Chairperson, for the opportunity.
Thank you, and thank you, PC and the team, for the responses. I think there's a lot that needs to that still has to happen. And of course, we do appreciate the fact that the socio-economic aspect of crime prevention and fighting crime is the most important that we need to engage on. And the strategy that you referred to even in December, hopefully it will help us to get us to where we want, where we get everybody on board and make sure that they play their role, including the justice system. And it's important that maybe one of the time in one of our schedules as the committee, we might need to get a presentation on the strategy, workshop ourselves and also understand what the strategy is all about, just beyond reading it, but further making sure that how does a committee like ours contribute in a general sense on how we fight crime and prevent crime. And thank you so much for the indulgence of the questions that have been raised. I think some of them are questions that are continuous, that will require us to continue to engage on and find ways on how we can be able to deal with the matters. I think the top 40 police station is a key point, and the plans that have to be put in place to make sure that those police stations they actually change and also improve in their function and actually performance. One thing that is clear is that, you know, the type of crimes also follow the type of area, you know, that the crime is happening. And it's something that I think the police should be aware of, that of course we can't put a unit that deals with cattle theft in Johannesburg, because there's little that happens in terms of that, but we need it more in Sidibeng and actually West Rand and partly the parts of Tshwane. So there are type of crimes that are actually driven by also the population and the situation in which the citizens find themselves in. But thank you so much, and we hope that we'll work together in making sure that we make Gauteng safer. And when we opened, we appreciated the role that you play. Member Hoffman raised the issue of the staff morale, and motivation, and I raised it before, that it's an important aspect of fighting crime. You cannot have soldiers that are unhappy, and somewhere I saw that Pope Crew and SAPU and others are still going to come into place, So besides the shutdown that members are worried about, I'm actually worried about the public service strike, in how it's going to affect our policing service, and we might need to have another discussion about it, but we need to create and motivate our staff, and make sure that those who are bad apples in the whole basket are actually dealt with, but those who are good and who do good must be motivated, and they must be actually celebrated. The trust building between the police and the community, that's where the CPF comes in, and I think that's also part of our role, but it's important that it also has to be tied up with a rapid response as it comes to complaints, so that the community see some form of action being taken, particularly for those who are found to be doing, police that are found to be doing wrong, and that thing, and be able to protect our citizens. And thank you, PC and the team, and we can safely release you, and as the members also take a small break to relieve themselves, and then we are going to have a short session just to do the committee things, and then we can call it off. Thank you, PC.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, honorable members.
Ngisakucabangela ukuthi. Lunch is served so that we don't have wasteful expenditure and we are part of corruption. Please pass by the lunch there. The lunch. The next legislature will deal with the bill, not us. So the more it gets delayed, the better. But thank you, members. Let's get back to the agenda. I know that we are in a disappointed state at the moment because the crime stats as released don't show any confidence that we are getting on top of the crime. So accordingly, the agenda, we said some of the items we are going to put them last bit of the meeting. I'm trying to open here, so. So can we just quickly go through the minutes of the 3rd of March, 2023? They were circulated. Can I get a comment, a mover? Member Kanyile?
Chair, I would like to move for the adoption of the minutes that you're referring to.
Can I get a seconder? Member Kanyile is moving.
Sorry, Chair, no, I don't have the minutes.
No, it's fine. We didn't expect you to. Okay, can you get somebody to second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Thank you. Are there matters arising from the minutes?
No, Chair, there are no new matters arising. The last matters arising we had was those of the 17th of February.
All right, thank you. Advocate, I'm told that the committee has had a serial of discussions on the bill. Maybe just to summarize the advice, because the committee had taken a posture that would want to take it through to the system. But you will advise us on how we might need to do that. But it's not something that we want to see as urgent, but it has to pass through the process. You can go through it.
Thanks, Chair, and good afternoon, honorable members and colleagues. Chair, it's true, Chair, that we have had a lot of presentations to this committee based on the community bill, Chair, which we now supposed to finalize as per the program, Chair. But before that, Chair, the committee had once decided that we get a legal opinion from outside, of which we did, and I believe that it was also circulated to honorable members, and they might have also applied their mind to that legal opinion, Chair. And I think maybe now what is important, since now we have received that legal opinion, is to maybe advise members as to where to now from here. Chair, I think what we are left with is, because we also had public hearings of which we have finalized, but we haven't had any opportunity to look at the comments and maybe apply our mind and maybe come up with a committee report which must now be tabled in the House and be adopted, which must be supported by your schedule of amendment, Chair. Where we are now, we need to look at maybe what was presented to the public during the public hearings. And as a committee decide whether they are going to amend the bill as it was introduced based on the comments made during public hearings, or are they going to produce a committee report based on the bill as it was introduced? We did circulate the comments which was made during public hearings to all members, and we will maybe request that maybe before we can maybe finalize your schedule of amendment, maybe members also might maybe advise on that as to whether maybe the bill as it was introduced, should we amend some clauses or should they remain the same as it was introduced? Of which that schedule of amendment, if there's a need for amendment, must be certified by the state law advisor. But before it can be certified by the state law advisor, it must serve before this committee for adoption by the members to agree that yes, these are the amendments that we want to make, or there's no amendments. Once there is a need for amendments and it's adopted, then the state law advisor will then certify it, which will be our A version. And then our then B version will be now the bill now, which will be having all amendments, of which will now serve before the House for tabling and adoption. That is the process that must unfold, Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Members, that's the process. Can we get advice? Member Hoffman?
Chair, just for clarity's sake, I'm a bit rusted on this thing. It's been coming a long time. But I think we've sat through a presentation where there were suggestions by the legal department where they included paragraphs within the presentation for us to look at. At that stage, I think we got busy with something else and we said we'll revisit it with that same presentation with the legal opinion that will be brought forward. Because as I understood it, there were some clashes between national legislation and that we were busy with. So they tried to see if our or this bill will be in line with the national bill or act or something that was coming. So I'm not sure as to if that is what the legal opinion is pertaining to. And can we maybe, Chair, through you, maybe set a meeting just for this, so that we can all look at what is going on, what the presentations is, because I'm not sure. like I said, I'm a bit rusted, but I don't think that the advocate was a presenter at the previous meeting that we had where that was presented. So I don't know if he knows what was presented at the previous meeting. So my suggestion would be, Chair, that we postpone this item, and we set up a meeting especially for this item, so that we look at the amendments, look where we are. I'm also not too sure that we had in the south of Gauteng a public participation sitting. I think there was two. I might be mistaken, but I think there was a three. So I think we might still short one public participation process in the south. We also have an opinion from the south, but I think if we can have a meeting just to discuss this, that would be. And then also, I just want to ask the legal opinion at which firm and what the cost might be for a legal opinion like that, and how can we, so that we can look at the whole picture and have a meeting, especially because out of that we can, get questions and we can, talk about it. Thank you, Chair.
What other members are saying? Member Malovan?
I'm just worried about the time frames and the procedure or process that is being followed in this particular bill. It differs from other bills, and I'm sure why. And maybe the legal team will have to explain to us exactly what are the reasons for the delay. Because I thought when we last interacted with the bill, we have touched most of the things that we're supposed to touch on. We have consulted because if we're still going to go on another public participation, member Kobus, I mean, really, we've done that already, and I thought we've satisfied the requirements of consultation. So I actually thought with all the workshops that we've had, we've managed to deal with the issues that I think were, particularly, I think there was a workshop in the East Rand that we had. We've tried, I mean, we did our best to do that. And I think what we are left with, and now of wanting to get another legal opinion, for me it's a problem. But anyway, if that's what this bill requires, we can do it. But let's try and make sure that we deal with this thing once and for all. Let's stop the unnecessary delays, because we've even forgotten what exactly did we make, in which areas have we made inputs in, because there is almost a story every time we engage with this bill. So I want to move that we seriously consider dealing with this thing once and for all, and then refer it to the legislature. If they want to reject it, let them reject our recommendation or accept our recommendations. Thanks, Chair.
Yeah, can we maybe, when you clarify, so if we do a report from public hearings and then we submit it for presentation to be presented to the legislature, and then the legislature will then determine what becomes. Is it what you are saying? Okay. You can respond.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Maybe let me just respond to Honorable Hoffman. That's correct, Honorable Hoffman. Our last meeting, we did make a presentation whereby we went clause by clause, explaining what the clause is all about and the comments made, and maybe the suggested amendments. That's where we stopped there. But then in that meeting, then the committee resolved that maybe there's a need for a legal opinion from outside, of which we did get that legal opinion, like I said earlier on, and it was circulated to members. Because the reason for that legal opinion it was because in that presentation, it wasn't clear as well as to whether the province or the legislature does have a competence in legislating on policy matter, even though it is clear in the constitution, the legislature or the province does have powers to legislate on issues that has to do with policy. And I think the legal opinion is also clear on that. It supports what the constitution says. And now what we need to do is now to proceed based on what the legal opinion is saying. So maybe the name of the law firm maybe that you're looking for is Sefako Mofokeng Attorneys. As to the amount, maybe for this meeting, Chair, with your permission, I think we won't be able to maybe answer that one. Maybe in our next meeting, we will then be able to advise members on maybe how much did it cost for that legal opinion. Yeah, but that's the name, Honorable Hoffman. So that's correct. I think I don't see any problem through you, Chair, and committee, if maybe the member needs us maybe to present maybe the bill as a whole, like we go clause by clause again, with those comments made by the public, maybe just to refresh their mind so that they are maybe able to also input. Because remember, the amendments which must now inform the schedule of amendments, those amendments must now be supported by the committee. We will just be advising. For an example, if member Honorable Malobane is suggesting an amendment, an amendment must be legally sound, and it must also be, comply with the drafting style, and it be in line with what the bill seeks to achieve. We can't be now coming with an amendment that the bill has got nothing to do with. So whatever amendments members gonna come with, it doesn't mean that if a comment was made in the public, then there's a need for that comments to be included there. So that's what I'm trying to explain. The most important thing, it must be legally found. It must comply with the drafting style. So you'll find that most of the comments which were made does not qualify, or they do, or maybe few or 5 of them out of 50. Yeah, thanks, Chair. Let me pause there.
Yeah, Member Kanyile, I'm going to. Okay, but she's supposed to just press then say something.
Thank you, Chair. I think what would assist us in terms of speeding up the process, because we've already categorized the comments in terms of the clause by clause, is that we circulate the very latest document that the legal team has worked on, so that members go through the specific comments which they're going to support, so that when we come to the next meeting, already members would have had their own ideology around what they're going to support and what they're not going to support. I think max that would take us 30 minutes to an hour to just finalize that process.
Member Kanyile?
She's helped me. Thank you very much.
All right. Our next meeting will be on the 23rd, and we will include this item the way it's supposed to be included, and the presentation. But then let's get the comments being circulated so that we make the process easy. We are going to the next item on resolutions.
We don't have resolutions, Chair.
NCOP matters?
None.
Correspondence?
None.
Okay. Members, we might need to consider our oversight visit to Recha Park. So we'll just we'll request members to suggest which days that they would want us to try and arrange for. I think before the end of this month, we need to actually to do that. So the committee support staff will circulate the dates and then we will confirm with those who are there. Okay. Our next meeting, like I've said, is on the 23rd. So the meeting stands adjourned.